Hello. Can you hear me at all? Is the music too loud, too quiet? How about the voice? All right, cool. Hopefully the music doesn't bother me. Normally like listen to YouTube videos while I'm doing this. Cool, this is a headset that I borrowed from work. I didn't want to have my mic arm in front of me. Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Okay. So I don't know how big it looks on stream, but that's the picture I'm basing everything off of. Hello. How's it going? I was halfway through that sentence before I'm like, I'm not going to use people's names. Just in case. All right. Something that's kind of weird about the Blender broadcast here. Yeah, it kind of does. Is it doesn't show like if I'm grabbing the skylight here, for example, and I hit G to move it, it doesn't show when I hit Y, X, or Z for the direction I'm moving it. But I think people can figure that out. It's weird that it's an add-on you've got to add to. There's like nothing built in for that. But I guess they don't expect people to be doing this. All right. How well can you see the picture that I'm working on? Is it too tiny? Oh, good. I just grabbed some different ones from Google Street View to see if there's any that I might want to base it on of, and there was a bunch of them in Minato City inside of Tokyo, so I really like this little tiny restaurant on a corner next to an ominous cave or garage or something back there. Probably gonna have to make some changes to it though. I can't have this like lighting pole right in the middle of the scene. That would be awkward. But all right. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Ah, here we are. This new version's quite different. Alright. Let's see. I think I'm gonna want my sidewalk raised a little more. Oh yeah, I can explain stuff. I don't always start with a plane on the ground. These ones that I do for the visual novel are only going to look good from the angle that I'm going to put the camera on. So this is an easy way to just like blanket the ground and tell that I'm placing everything in the right place. But I don't always do that, just for this purpose. Does it show when I render? Oh crap, it doesn't. But that's okay. When the time comes for that, I can just switch to rendered anyway. There's a few ways. A lot of people just use keyboard shortcuts. I just go right directly to add in the upper left here. Mesh, plane, and you can grab almost everything you need from up here. And pretty much everything in the real world is just either a cube, sphere, cylinder, all those kind of things. So I just try to think, what does the thing I'm trying to make look like, or closest to, and then I start from there. And of course for these, I'm not really gonna do the trees. I'm gonna paint them in Photoshop. Horses' heads are coffins. That sounds like a good obscure song name. Horses' heads are coffins. All right. Try to get some perspective here. So I'm gonna add a cube just for now. That's gonna represent a person. If I got this set to meters, I sure do. Oops. Alright, so this would be roughly the height of a person. Or I'm gonna call it that. It doesn't particularly matter since I'm working off a picture, but yep. It matters more when I'm building stuff for a real game, because you gotta have your characters be able to fit into doorways. Where everything's going to be based off this picture, I don't really have to worry about that because I'm not using my imagination too much. But I thought I'd just take a look to give myself an idea before I start. As long as everything in the scene is scaled to the picture, that's fine. I'll just move that out of the way for now. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want the outer sidewalk, even though you might not be able to see it in the picture, it should be raised a little from the rest of the street. So I'm going to grab the plane, hit tab to go into edit mode, and I'm going to work on the edges. So I can select any edge, and I'm just going to do Control R for a cut. And this makes a little line that I can move wherever I need to. So I think I'll put it right there for now. And I'll make another one right in front of it. And there's probably better ways to do just about everything I'm doing, but this is just how I do it. And I'm just going to switch to face. Move this down a little bit. And then move it in a little bit. So that's, try to get it roughly on a 90 degrees there. All right, that'll work. I think I need that a little closer though to the origin, because that's 000 world origin. So I should probably try to have most things closer to that. All right, the camera is not where it should be. The world origin is the center of anything you make in Blender. So 0x, 0y, 0z. That's the center of the universe if it was the real world. And it's just easier to work there because by default, everything rotates around the center. Also, if you have to find your way back, it's real easy to just go to here, switch it back to 0 again, and then your cursor's at the center again. Otherwise, you don't really have a point of reference. All right. So this has a few different divisions, and it's easier when I'm doing the textures if I make face divisions for it. So let's do that. The sidewalk's going to be roughly, let's say, well, it's going to be a little edge here, a little lip. I'm just doing Control R so I can make slices on this. That width, and maybe one more. And I just occasionally switch back to face view because it's just easier to select when you're working on a bigger object like that, and it don't particularly matter at this point. make a little slice in this direction. And well, so I don't know if you remember from when you were doing Blender, but like maneuvering around, if you hold Shift and middle mouse, you can pan. If you just do middle mouse, it's rotate. Control and middle is zoom. I think those are the important ones. And I just switch between point select, edge select, and face select here. I realize while I'm doing this that this looks like absolutely nothing until you get to the later stages, so this is probably quite boring. Oh, you're trying to do Blender right now as well? Does it make sense what I'm doing so far? Oh, cool. Oops. All right. So this one, I move this edge down a little bit, so it's sort of like a natural bump up to get, like if your car were to drive down where that truck is. These are just the different shading modes, so you can check out how things look in different ones. I never use this. Almost never. Alright. Yeah, exactly. And the building's going to be right, so if you can imagine, so where these lines intersect, right here, this is sort of the edge of the building here. This is the little driveway that the truck is on. And the reason I divide this up is because I add some flat textures later on, not with any shininess or anything like that. Oh, so this part here. Now, did you make these double lines here when you were doing this? Or did you make a single one? Oops. Yeah, if you make a single one, it will move basically everything along, so you gotta double those up. But you can make that anytime, like you could do it right now even, if you needed to. Just try to bring that line back up, do the cut, and then move it down again. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, I might move mine down even further. Good. So, almost never are you just going to hit G to move something, because that's too imprecise. When you're working with moving things, you want to hit G, and then you want to hit the axis you want to move it on. So like, if I was trying to move this and I just hit G, it can go all over the place. But if I hit G and Z, it can only go up and down, or G and Y can only go back and forth. G and X can always only go front and back. And it's just a more precise way of doing it. You can type in numbers too, so if I did G, Z, and 2, that would move it up like 2 meters or more. Or 200% maybe, or I don't know what that represents, but excuse me, it's a number anyway. So if you have to be super precise, you can do that. So I could do G, Z, 0.02 and move it up that much. Or if I hit 3, it's that much. Or 5, it's that much. So you can be really precise with that. Oh yeah, for sure. And there's like thousands of shortcuts in here. I don't know even a small fraction of them, just enough to get by. Alright, so when you're here though, tab gets you in and out of that. So one thing that I need to do, well, I just got done saying I never use this, but if I switch it to wireframe mode, when I'm in object mode, I can see where I put my street divisions. So I can move this cube to where I intended it to be. So I wanted it GY. Wanted it like this, I think. Alright. Switch it back to shading. So this is the road going up this way. This is the road going this way. Actually, maybe it would be a little easier to visualize if I actually added textures to this, or materials. So I'm gonna do that just for fun. So we're gonna make one called ground matte. We're gonna just make it a little darker. Somewhere like that is probably fine. That'll work. And I want to make another one that's going to differentiate our little bits here. Right, so let's make sure that's assigned to everything first. Actually, let's make this a color, just for fun. Who knows what color that is? Not me. Oh no, that's not gonna work. Maybe we won't do colors. There we go. Alright, so this is the little almost cobblestone looking part here. So I will make another material here. We'll call this cobblestone mat. These are just so we can tell things apart, so I'm not too worried about it. And make this a slightly lighter one maybe. And we'll just, so we've got some faces selected here that I just want to be a different color, so I select cobblestone mat, and you can just assign them just like that. And now you can see the different parts. This is the lip of the sidewalk here. The road, actually maybe I'll make the road another color entirely. Call this road mat. That'll be almost something like that. So we can assign that. And this up here was road as well. So we can assign that as well. Oops. Road mat, assign. But there. Now we can kind of see we've got road here, we've got our sidewalk, we've got the lips of it, we've got the other road. Easy enough. These colors will definitely not be staying, of course, so. Probably should have been recording this too. Oh well. Too late. Alright, so the thing I'm looking at here in the picture is it looks like the whole thing is resting on a foundation. And the foundation sort of sticks out a little bit, and they've got garbage cans and vending machines on it. So I'll just turn this box into the foundation. So I go into edit mode on that. Grab the top and face select. GZ. Move it down to somewhere like this. You're going to need this to be quite a bit wider, I think. So grab this face, GY. Yeah, that looks alright. It looks like it's kind of a long building, so I'll grab the back face, GX. Move it somewhere like that. Alright, actually, I think I want it even longer there. Make it there. A little wider too. Alright, so if I'm trying to line up the picture, we'll be looking at it kind of like, we'll eventually want to move the camera over to it, so it's kind of like here. Yeah. Okay, that sort of matches up with the screen there. I wonder if I can remember off the top of my head how to pilot the camera. I think it was Control Alt 0? Ah, what do you know? Right, that's not very precise, but that's close. Should have probably colored that too. that road mat as well, just in case I do have to look at this later. I'll make that cobblestone as well. Alright. Need to get this camera to be aligned a little bit better. I just said it a moment ago and I've already forgot. I think it's Control Alt and number pad 0. Yes. And that somewhat matches up with the frame you're looking at, but not exactly. So you have to play with it a little. And that's the scene camera, like just your viewport. If you want to change views, you can use 0 shows you the scene camera. Then you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of snaps it back and forth between different angles. 7 is top. And then if you wanted to look at the bottom, you can do shifts. Wait, what was it? Control 7 shows you the bottom. So if one shows you the left side, you can do control and the same number and it'll show you the right side. And to get out of it, you just middle mouse wheel and you can move around again. But this camera is not exactly in the picture I want. You guys can't see it when I hit F12 to render, but it's not quite showing me the angle that I'm hoping for. So I'm going to grab it and manually move it. R to rotate it on the Y. That's a bit better. I'm sure you could mess with the camera settings as well to work with this, but I don't know them well enough to do that. Normally don't focus on the camera so much at this stage either, but I think it will make this a little better if I do. So when I hit F12, the screen doesn't change for you guys, does it? Okay. Wonder how I could fix that, or if it even matters. It probably doesn't matter. It looks roughly like this. Alright, so it occurs to me looking through the camera that I don't want it as wide as I initially thought. But I probably do want this a little longer. Alright. We're kind of getting down to business. I'll mess with the camera a little later, since that's just... no one's really seeing what I'm seeing with that, so it's kind of boring and rude to play with that for too long. Alright, so... now to get into one of the more fun things is on the right hand side there is a ledge, and there's not one along the front. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use Control R on this face that we were using earlier to make the ledge like so. I'm gonna select the face, the large face, And I'm just going to hit E for extrude, Z for up and down. And I'm going to make the first level of this building. Alright. And this is when my little dude will come into play here. I can move him closer to the building and see if this makes any sense at all for scale. I think actually, if anything, I should maybe bring it down a little bit, because I'm working on the part of the building right now that would be aligned with the top of the little overhang. Or the, I don't know what you would call that, like the rain catcher or whatever. What's that called? I'll call it an overhang. So, if that came down a little bit here, yeah, we'll make that a little smaller. There we go. All right. That looks about right. Cool. Get out of here, little fella. Alright, so switch back to this. This is where the garbage cans and the pop machines. Oh, that's Calpis machines. I've had that. So actually, since there's pop machines here, they're going to need probably a little more space than that. So I'll edit this again. GY. Give them that much space. It's probably, no, that's too much. GY. That much. As you can probably tell by now, I'm not doing any exact measurements. I'm just eyeballing the whole thing. And it usually works out okay. Alright. Good. So the next thing I might want to do is, I know there's another level that's made up of little panels up above. So I think I'll do that now. Just by grabbing this face here, extrude Z, and this is about half the height. Of the one below it. Right. And I'm gonna do some topography here, so Control R for ring cut again. Move that there. Alright, I think I'll leave that alone for a little bit. No, maybe not. Alright, back to face select. The next thing, there's like this, looks like a sliding door window thing, almost like those shoji screens in the bedroom scene. So I'm gonna cut out a block in the middle here. Yeah, that seems like a good place to start. So ring cut again. It'll start right about here. Ring cut again here. And it ends a little bit before this part here. Yeah. So what I'll probably do here is select this face and extrude inward. So E, we're going on the x-axis. So we can move this in. And later on I can texture this green so I can replace it with an indoor scene in Photoshop later on easier. So that could work for that. Plus I know we're going to end up with some lights in here too, so they can cast shadows out onto the street. So I'll left click here to put the 3D cursor there. Move around just to make sure it's where I think it is. And it is. And go to add, light, point light. And older lighting sources are usually, this little light bulb is where you get the things here. They have slightly yellowish tint to them. And usually they're from a light bulb, which would be like 60 watts. Yeah, there we go. G, let's move it. Oop, not that. G, Y, move it into the center. And then it's getting some of that shadow that I don't know how to do on my own. So this will tell me when I get back into Photoshop, I have to have shadow lines here. Show you that light would be ideally in the real world be more up here. And probably back a little bit. Not too far it disappears since we're sort of faking this room in here. Alright. That'll probably work. Oh. One thing I forgot to do earlier though is this is hovering above the ground because I forgot to scale it downwards, so I'm just going to move it downwards. Make sure it's in the ground. That looks a little more natural. But it's going to have to move back a little bit. G, X. So it lines up with the edge of our other street. Everything making sense so far? Alright. So the next thing I'm going to make is these little sliding door screens, and that's pretty easy enough. We can tell just by looking at them that they're essentially cubes with bits cut out of them. So I'll put my 3D cursor there, add cube, move it up a little bit, we're going to scale it. Oh, actually before we continue, when you resize anything or when you rotate anything, what you really should get in the habit of doing is select whatever object it was, do Control A to apply rotation and scale. Otherwise later on when you texture things, the textures will be all out of whack, and some of the operations like extruding won't work properly. So I'm going to do that for the plane and the cube. That's pretty important. Sometimes I forget and I have to do it all at the end, which is not fun, because it really only becomes apparent most of the time when you're applying textures and they're sort of like bent off in different directions, or one part will be stretched and another part will be normal. And that's when you know you've made a mistake. So, but back to making the doors. So, cube, Control A, Oop. Yeah, Control A. With the object selected, and you can't do it for multiples at once. You can only do it for one, unfortunately. Right. So, for these door frames, we need to be able to fit 3 in there. So, I'll scale it on the y-axis, roughly like that. Move it back in there. Just touching it. And you can tell if it's intersecting or not, because just as you do, the lines start to change a little bit. They get little dots in between them. Alright, so if I Shift D to duplicate this, and then G Y to move it here, we can fit 2 doors. Shift D, G to move it, and Y. Each one of them's got to be a tiny bit wider. Or one of them has to be. We'll just make one of them wider. The middle one later on. We don't need these were just a guide. Alright, let's get the... Oops. Let's get the height matching. Scale, S for scale, Z. Down, scale Z again to it there. That looks like it is top to bottom to me. Yep, a little bit of overlap, but that's fine. Alright, now we'll move it out of the wall. Oops. Work on it easier. So once I've got it moved out here, I'm going to scale it to make it quite skinny on the x-axis. Like that will probably be good. So that's going to be one of these 3 door things. And I'm only assuming there's 3. It looks like there's 3. So how we have it is there's 3. In each one, there's 3 equal-sized panes on the top, and then a larger panel on the bottom. And then the top and the 3rd pane down are divided. So that's pretty easy to do. I think the easiest way to do it would probably be to start with an inset. So once I've got this door here, Control A, apply the rotation and scale, hit Tab to go into edit mode, select this face, select the back face, and that might still be too wide. Yeah, that's still too wide. So since I've got them both selected anyway, I'm gonna try scaling it on the x-axis. There we go. That's a little better. And while we still have the opposite side selected, we can hit I on the keyboard to inset. And that just lets us make a little frame like that. And it did it equally on both sides, so we don't have to worry about lining those up. And that's going to be important soon. So the next part, we need to make cuts to represent the panels. So just selecting this front face, I'm going to do Control R, get our ring cut, which I use pretty much constantly. So the top part, there are 3 even divisions, but the bottom part's a little bit bigger. So I'm going to give it that much space. Ring cut again. And I'm going to want our little board in between to be like that. So that looks good. Now these ones here, I'm going to do Control R again, but I'm going to scroll the mouse wheel up to divide it, and now it's equally divided. And if I click and not move the mouse, now I've got these 3 top ones are equal divisions, which is kind of what I was going for anyway. So then I'm just going to make the little board parts, make them roughly the same size as the other one. There we go. And the top one I don't need to do that for because it is fine as it is. Now, the top one, this one, and this one are divided in the center by another little stick. So I'm going to ring cut again, and move it a little bit that way. Do another ring cut, move it like that. Now the thing that might seem like it doesn't make sense is why do they all have the divisions now? We know that the bottom one doesn't need one and the middle one doesn't need one. Well, that's easy enough to deal with. We do the face select this face, or these 3 faces, hit the F key and it becomes one face. In the middle here, select these 3 faces, hit F, it becomes one. Got to do the same thing on the back though. So those 3 there. Oh, if you choose one face and then hold Control and choose another face, it chooses every face in between as well. So that's a easier way to do that. Alright. Now it's probably pretty clear what's going on here now at this point. But what we're going to have to do is delete some of these faces because they're going to be glass. So this face has got to go. This face, this face, this face, this face. And on the opposite side, the matching faces. And then just hit delete, choose faces. So now it's starting to look like these door things. Although I think in mine, the bottom's going to be a little higher than in the picture, but that's fine. I don't really care. It doesn't have to be exact. Now the only problem now is if you look at it at different angles, it's like a paper cutout. And we can't be having that. So we've got to solidify this again, and how we do it is kind of painstaking, but we choose 2 edges, hit F. 2 edges, hit F. Just keep rolling. Oop, I did that one wrong. Control Z to undo. Gotta make sure you get the right edges. There we go. Oh, did it again. There we go. Nope, I don't have a trick. You might be tempted to think that you could hold Alt and select all the edges in the ring, and then do Shift Alt and select all the ones on the other side, but if you try to do that, it just reseals the face. So, no luck there. However, we can do these ones at once. Sorry, what's that? Keep pressing F. Well, if we select 2 and hit F repeatedly, it doesn't really do much more. Gotta keep selecting these. Unless, I mean doing the loop here like this and hitting F twice, which I've never tried. Nope. Doesn't work for me anyway. If you're just tuning in, by the way, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just teaching what I do know. The edge on the open side is selected. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. If there's a better way, I would love to know it. Like that? Select the short side. Like that? Oh my god, thank you so much. God, I've been doing this the hard way for years. Damn it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wow. That's gonna save me a ton of time. Oh, you are the best. Wow. Like it's, you know, sometimes you start doing something and it works even if it's a pain in the ass, and then you just keep doing it forever, not even realizing there's probably a better way to do that. Wow. I learned something. I should send you bits somehow. Oh, that's amazing. Way better. All right, so for the bottom one, it's just a panel that I'm going to texture differently later on. So I'm just going to slightly extrude those inwards on both sides. And now I kind of have what I have in the picture. That'll probably work. And then later on in Photoshop, what I've been doing is I sort of paint in the filter slightly, or the glass where the glass would be slightly differently, so it sort of blurs what's behind it and sort of has a glass effect. Alright, so let's move that back in there a little bit. duplicate it. I'm probably going to end up making this middle one a little bit bigger. Yeah. Scale that outwards a little bit on the Y. Go. So that's that part, and again in Photoshop I'll probably, like in these panes here, draw little menu items or something. So there, that was that bit. Now this part here under the overhang, that's all the same. But then there looks like there's a little cavity here as well, which shares sort of the top edge. Actually, these doors should probably be inset a little more. And then I should probably make a frame around them, it looks like in the picture. Yeah, it has sort of like a little off-colored frame around it. Should have probably thought of that earlier, so I'll scale these down a little bit. Scale them on the Y a little bit as well so I can fit the frame in there. And I'm going to do that with just another cube. I don't... Yeah, I think I'll do that. Go. Just switch into another view might make it a little easier. So, Photonix, if you're still here, how long have you been doing Blender? Well, you're already ahead on me on a lot of it then. At least for that trick you just showed me. I've been doing this a long time and had no idea about that. Right, I'm gonna do the same trick with the inset on this one as well. Control A to apply the rotation scale. Switch into edit mode. Start it with something like that. We can adjust it later. Delete the faces. Switch to edge mode. Everything making sense so far, Jeff? I'm just sort of going with it. It's pretty much the same things we've gone through earlier, so I don't think it's anything real bizarre yet. Just want this to have a little bit of an edge out on it to give it a little more differentiation from the rest of the wall. I think those are good. Yeah, that will probably work. Alright. Yeah, the menu seems to be in like a little bit of an inset as well. Might reuse the frame for that, even though it hasn't really got one in the source picture. But that's the good thing about doing this, you can do whatever you feel like. And like Bob Ross, we can do a happy little inset here. There's no rules. Can't really tell in the picture how far that's supposed to inset, but that's fine. Alright. I'm gonna copy my frame, duplicate it, Shift D, G, Y, move it over here, and instead of scaling it, because it would sort of squish these parts here, I'm just gonna take the easy route, switch into edit mode, grab these two opposing faces, G, Y, and move it inwards like that. Now we got another frame there for where the menu could go. I think that's inset far enough. And it's not showing on stream, but every once in a while I just hit F12 to look at it rendered through the camera. Just a quick idea of how it's looking. I really like how when you put door frames in with cutouts like that, how the light will show you all the shadows that you need to draw later on in Photoshop. So that's good. Now the base of the menu looks like it's sort of like a rounded stand that's flat on the bottom. Let's see. That might be a fun way to do that. I could take a cylinder and cut it, but I want to try and use bevel just to see if I can get the same effect. So let's see. We'll add another cube. Switch to front view. Scale it inwards. And this isn't occupying all the space, so I'm going to leave a little space on each side. That's too much. Like that. We'll apply the scale. Edit mode, grab the top face, and I'm just gonna move it downwards here and do some experiments with Control B. Now, that's not exactly what I want, but that looks pretty neat. Let's try taking these two edges and Control B. This is more like it. Yeah, I wonder if I scale these inwards. And then do Control B. Does that make any difference? Yeah, there we go. That's sort of what I'm looking for. I think I might want it a little higher though. And anytime I don't like something, I just hit escape and it goes back to where we started. So it's not a big deal if you start doing something that you end up not wanting. Yeah, so that looks pretty good to me. And I think I want to, let's see. Go face select. I'm going to inset those as well. And just extrude them inwards on each side. Just to make them have a little more contour. Alright. That's pretty good. Although, for these rounded things, I'm gonna select the first one, hold Control, select the last one, so it selects them all in between. I'm gonna go to Face, Shade Smooth. That way, it doesn't have all those chunky, jagged lines that it had before. Move it back in here. Now theirs is sort of hanging over the edge a little bit. I don't know if I want that or not. Not trying to be 100% faithful, which is a good thing because I probably couldn't be anyway. I think I will scale that up a little bit though. Maybe just on the Z-axis. And on the X a little bit. Yeah, maybe I will have it hanging out there a little bit. Just a little bit though. Alright. Well, bevel's pretty fun. And we got the menu, which looks like it has rounded quarters, so we're going to probably get to do bevel again. Alright. Make another cube. Probably going to be funny if someone who actually is a pro at Blender and comes in here and sees me stumbling around on this, but you know, it works for me. It's better than if you knew nothing about it at all, too, so. Oh, sorry. What you do in edit mode is if you select all the faces you want to smooth, and then you go to the face drop down and choose shade smooth, and then it will end up like that. Let me know if it works out for you. Awesome. All right. We'll probably use that on a few other things. If I'm looking at the picture, we're definitely going to use it on the light poles. Definitely going to use it on the trash cans. The edges of a lot of the signs we're going to use it on. So there's a few things. Bevel's fun. You can do a lot of different stuff with that. Let's see. This scene's probably going to have to be a multi-parter, because it is getting late, but I'm going to go for another half hour at least. Switch to front perspective. Or sorry, right orthographic. Looking at the front of my store anyway. Right, so it's above that piece a little bit. In their picture they've got something that I can't quite make it what it is above that. So our menu's going to go all the way to the top. Alright. It's going to be like that. If you notice me switching back and forth between Y and X over and over again, for some reason I keep forgetting which button I'm pressing. Alright. So we're going to want to apply the rotation and scale, go into edit mode, and we're going to inset it again just like we did before. And I kind of want to round the edges inside as well as outside. And this is something I've not done before, but I think Bevel can work with us on that too. So let's try doing one edge with Bevel and see what happens. Okay, that kind of works. But I think if I've got to do it one at a time, I'm going to have to do it with numbers. So Control B, 0.5, whoop, way too much, 0.05, 0.07, yeah, that looks okay. I think it does anyway. Maybe more divisions. So, Control B, 0.07, and click up the wheel twice. Alright, that ought to work. 0.07, and the wheel's already clicked, so I don't need to do that. Control B, 0.07, Control B, 0.07. So that's the outside edges, that's pretty sweet. Now if I take this face and extrude it inwards, wait a minute, no, remove these faces entirely, we'll bridge these again in the method that we have just learned. And then I will try to bevel these and see what happens. Wow. Starting to get scared, that was way too easy. Oh yeah, that is the stuff. Did you catch all of that? I wasn't sure it would do it the opposite way, but I guess it did. That's easy enough. This will get you all the basic stuff anyway. Yeah, so we'll go back and we'll do the face select again, and we will. There we go. Well, first I'm gonna select it all, and then do shade smooth just to see how it looks. I don't know if I'm gonna like that or not though. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then what I'll just do is I will add a plane again. Actually, I'm gonna cheat. I'm just gonna add a cube and scale it in there. I don't want to have to worry about double-sided anything. In case I ever reuse this for something else, I hate making double-sided materials in Unreal Engine. I don't think I will be, but you never know. There we go. One menu board coming up. All right. It's coming along. It's coming along. It's starting to look like something now, unlike the first hour. All right. So I'm just gonna make a couple cylinders, and we're gonna give them 64 segments because this is only going to be a 2D rendering after, so I don't have to worry about triangles at all. In fact, I don't know if it's true or not, but the newer engine of Unreal supposedly is going to make it that you don't have to budget for, for triangles at all, which would be pretty amazing, but I don't know if it's really possible or not, but I guess we'll see. This I could probably shade smooth as well. Hitting Control A a couple times just to select everything. Shade smooth. Shift D to duplicate. G, Y to move it over here. Yep, it's coming along. It is coming along. Nice. Alright. So we'll just do some small detail work next. We know there's going to be a sign right on the edge here. That's just a plain old cube, just like we've been doing all along. One of the things I struggle with sometimes is that when things get placed in the real world, as much as it might drive people with OCD nuts, not everything lines up exactly to the lines, so you gotta sort of intentionally build some chaos into things. Or not chaos, but some disorder, I guess you'd say. And place things not exactly where you'd normally like to place them. Alright. Actually, since we've been having so much luck and fun with bevel, I think the corners of my sign are going to be rounded on this too. Just slightly though. Face select, hold Alt, get the whole thing, face, shade smooth. Yeah, I like it better that way. Could be like old driftwood or something like that. We'll make it a different color so it stands out a little more too. Just by going back and making it another texture, so rounded sign matte. Just do it like that. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to mess with the camera later, but that's fine for now. All right. Okay. And now I should probably do the overhang. Let me zoom in on my picture and see how that works. That looks like it's just bolted right into the wood there. Yeah. Okay. How should we do that? Actually, we can probably reuse this, in fact. Yeah. So we'll shift duplicate this. Move it out a little bit, and we'll scale it down quite a bit. Scale it on the Z. And on the Y. And we're just going to use this as the little panel where the poles for the overhang are bolted into the wall. Alright, and that starts right about here. And it goes right to the other side of the menu. So duplicate of it way over here. But I've created myself a small problem, which I'm gonna fix very easily. There should be a little bit more of the building here. So we'll just grab this, face select all these faces here, G, Y, pull it out, and we have more building. Problem solved. All right. Now, actually, I should have thought about this a little better. I want to delete that one. Go back to this one and zoom in a little bit. Edit it. I'm going to add a little more detail to this one. So I'm going to inset this a little bit. Oh, getting some bad faces on it though. Maybe I don't want to do that. Let us extrude it out a little bit. And scale this inwards. And move it back a little bit. That'll give us a little more detail. Definitely can't extrude it anymore, so that's fine. We'll try ring cut and see if we're able to do that. That looks like that's not going to work for this, but that's fine. It just gives it a little more substance, and we'll add another object to it, which I think will be a cylinder. Alright, well we haven't done a lot of this, so just to rotate it, hit R, X on this, 90 degrees to move it that way. That's exactly what I want. Scaling this down again. Scaling it on the Y. So we're sort of making a compound object here. Gotta remember to apply. Now we'll select these two opposing faces, we'll inset them a little bit, and extrude them inwards a little bit on each side. I'm sort of making this like something that can fold or can rotate within the clamp here, but I'm not going to texture it different later on, so being lazy on that part. So I'm going to join these in a second, but I do want to do the shade smooth on this first. Then if you go back to object view, you can select two different objects, Control J, and they become one object, and you see how I redid the texturing for that. So that will work. When I texture it later, or when I paint over it, it's all going to be one metal piece, so that's fine. So now, I'll duplicate it, and move it back to the other side. It is coming along. Alright, so in the picture there's a pole that goes upwards from this, and it's one of those ones that sort of is like a piston, so it's a small pole inside a larger pole, so it can expand and contract. So that's easy enough. That's just going to be two different size cylinders. One of them is going to be super tiny, but tall. Actually, I think I might cheat on this one as well. And all I'm going to do with that is smooth those faces. I'm going to select this bottom one. I'm going to inset that quite a bit, and then I'm going to extrude downwards this. So that's our sort of piston type thing, without having to make two different objects, which this is probably more proper of a way to do it anyway. And I'm going to rotate that on the y-axis. So probably something like that. Oops, should probably go into here. Probably got to be a little bit longer though, otherwise our overhang will come down too much on top of our, yeah, actually that should be rotated a little more as well, I think. This. Sort of peeking through there, so that's not quite how I want it. And this is pretty much just fiddling around with it. I need to make this part a little longer. Which I should have done before, because now it's going to go all out of whack if I do this. That was a mistake, but I can fix that. There we go. That ought to do it. Rotate it back into its position. Which if you click and hold on this, you can sort of use it as a slide bar, which is convenient sometimes. Alright. So that will hang the overhang out properly. Good. Good. So we need to Shift D that, duplicate. Move it over like the other one. Just a bit like that. Right. Actually, let's not do that. Let's make the next part of this pipe on here as well. Alright. So let's extrude that up a tiny amount and scale it outwards. Extrude it up again. Extrude it a tiny bit more and scale it inwards. So that sort of looks like it's a cap that could be screwed on. Then we'll extrude it outwards again. And what we're trying to do is turn it over like that. So I'm going to rotate it. So what would be the full rotation? So rotation X. Trying to get 90 eventually. So we'll do 30 each time. So 30. And again, I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but this is fine. Alright, so now we'll move this with G. There. We'll extrude it out from there. Rotate the face again. The X, 30. Move it out a little more. And extrude it again. This is our last one. Rotate X. 30, that gives us a total of 90. And we'll move this one down a little bit. That's not exactly what I'm looking for.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty
I think
fast.
from a distance you won't be able to tell so much though. Let's see if we can mess with it a bit. Just in case though. Probably should have more divisions, so I'm going to select this and do the ring cut. Kind of want to leave it in the middle. Let's just move it out a little. I think this could have benefited from more divisions is the problem. But that's okay. It does look weird. Oh well. Maybe I'll come up with a better idea later. Mainly this one that doesn't look proper, but... And I'm just holding Alt to select these rings that we already made. Okay, this is getting progressively better. Yeah, that looks way more natural. So then we'll put another piece like this on here. Make it look like it's something that it gets screwed into once again. Same principle as before. Alright. That's alright, but I do see something I don't like about it. Since we shaded the pieces flat or smooth earlier, they're all like that. So I'm gonna shade some of these flat so we can tell the difference. So back to face select. And we'll do these and these. Shade flat. It's a little better. Maybe this is something that will benefit from not being shaded flat, smooth. Okay, I got an idea. We'll undo that. And these will be the parts that are shaded flat. Alright, that's better. And we're gonna join these pipes up, and then that will be the end of this part. We'll have to continue this another night during our peak. Shift, duplicate, G, Y. Now we need to rotate this so it's facing the other way, otherwise this doesn't make any sense at all. So let's do that to make it straight up and down again, just so it's easier. What am I doing? That's the wrong one. Definitely getting tired. That's the wrong one. (180 degrees). And what was this one rotated again? 28.5. 28.5. Minus 28.5 because we rotated it. There we go. So the final step for this bit, added this one. Oh, I've got a brilliant idea. Nope, not gonna do that. Or should I? No, not gonna do that. We're gonna inset this. We're gonna extrude it all the way over. Till it meets up with this one. And it looks like it's just screwed in there. So now we can select both of these, and like we did earlier to join an object, Control J. This is now one object. And what we'll do next time is the overhang, sort of like a canvas or fabric. It will come out from here. Yep, it will roll out from here, go over this and hang down a little bit. But this is where I'm going to stop it tonight, because I'm getting tired and making silly mistakes. So before you forget, don't forget to save this, otherwise you'll be sad later. This is small, long restaurant. And it's getting there. It's got a long ways to go. These take me quite a while. I'm sure other people could do it quicker, but in the end they all turn out. I've got some special Photoshop brushes too that let me do the trees in the scene, and they look really good after you get it into Photoshop. This is mostly so I can see where I have to draw shadows. I can see, you know, what the proper perspective of things are. Because unless I make some weird shapes, everything's going to be lines along X, Y, and Z. So it really helps me out a lot. And what I haven't been doing properly, which I'm going to start doing, is I'm going to make night, day, after, and sunset scenes for each of them. So I'm going to start playing more with the lights, because I'm going to need different versions of these, and I didn't think ahead when I started. But yep, it's coming along. By the time we get done, it'll look pretty much like what it's supposed to. We're going to change the names and everything on it. We're going to do up our own menus and stuff. It'll be pretty neat. This particular scene is the exterior of a small restaurant that the protagonist will get to work in, so they don't have to live on the street. That's my goal with this. Any questions before we close it off? I'm glad you like that. I was worried it would be boring. I find it interesting, but you know, this is the kind of nerdy stuff I like, so. I am gonna shut it down, but I will be on Discord for a little bit anyway, if you have more questions. Yeah, I'm glad you did too. That was kind of fun. I wasn't expecting you to do that. Nope. What was that? Okay, well, I'm gonna close it down here. Oh, I don't have an ending screen. Oh well. Later.